Hello gardeners, welcome to the Living Soil Lab. Is your garden trembling at the thought of winter's icy grip? Don't let frosty temperatures turn your vibrant plants into a frozen wasteland. In this video, we'll reveal the secrets to a frost-proof garden, ensuring your beloved plants not only survive but thrive through the coldest months. Say goodbye to winter plant woes and hello to a flourishing garden even in December. Winter prep is your garden's first line of defense. You know, the most critical mistake gardeners make is waiting until the first frost warning to think about winter protection, by which point it's often too late to implement the most effective strategies. Your winter preparation should begin in late summer and early fall, when you can still assess which plants are most vulnerable and take preventive action before cold weather arrives. Walk through your garden with a notebook and identify every frost-tender plant, from tropicals that absolutely cannot handle any frost to borderline hardy perennials that might survive with protection but will certainly suffer without it. This inventory becomes your action plan, allowing you to prioritize your protection efforts on the plants that need it most, rather than scrambling when temperatures drop. Garden cleanup in fall serves a purpose far beyond aesthetics, functioning as essential pest and disease management that protects your plants through winter. Fallen leaves, spent annual plants, and garden debris create perfect overwintering habitat for pests like aphids, spider mites, and fungal spores that will emerge with vengeance in spring if allowed to survive winter undisturbed. Alright, so you'll want to remove all this material from your beds, composting healthy plant matter while discarding anything that shows signs of disease or heavy pest infestation. It's important to pay particular attention to areas around perennials and the base of shrubs, since pests really love to hide there. And don't leave any rotting fruit or vegetables behind, because those can definitely harbor problems. One practice that actually surprises a lot of gardeners is the importance of deep watering before winter dormancy sets in. Plants that enter winter in a dehydrated state are just far more susceptible to cold damage, since water in plant cells actually provides some insulation and helps maintain cell structure during freezing. So you should give your entire garden a thorough soaking in late fall, after plants have gone dormant, but before the ground freezes solid. This is especially critical for evergreens and woody plants, since they continue losing moisture through their leaves and bark all winter long. It's also important for any plants in protected locations under eaves or dense tree canopies, where natural precipitation just doesn't reach adequately. Strategic sheltering solutions don't have to be complicated or expensive. Creating effective protective structures really just comes down to understanding how to trap warmth and block wind, while still allowing some air circulation. Simple DIY cloches, like clear plastic milk jugs with the bottoms cut off, work beautifully for individual plants. These little mini greenhouses can actually raise temperatures by 10 to 15 degrees, even on those cold, sunny days. For slightly larger areas, you can build lightweight frames out of PVC pipe or bamboo stakes, and then cover them with clear plastic sheeting. This creates a tunnel-style protection that can shelter entire rows. The key thing here is to make sure these structures don't seal up completely, because trapped moisture without any ventilation can lead to fungal disease problems. So it's important to leave small openings at the top or ends for air exchange. Mulching is honestly one of the most powerful and cost-effective winter protection strategies out there, but its effectiveness really depends on proper application and timing. You want to wait until the ground has frozen before you apply winter mulch. The goal isn't to keep the soil warm, but to keep it consistently frozen and prevent those damaging freeze-thaw cycles that can heave plants out of the ground and rupture their roots. So, when you're thinking about applying mulch, it's important to apply a nice thick layer of about 4 to 6 inches. You want to use loose, airy materials like straw, shredded leaves, or even pine needles around the base of perennials and over bulb beds. This insulating blanket, well, it really helps to moderate those soil temperature swings, and, importantly, it protects dormant root systems from the most extreme cold. Now, a word of caution here. You should avoid using heavy materials, like uncomposted leaves, because they can mat down and unfortunately suffocate your plants. And, never pile mulch directly against plant stems or tree trunks. This can create favorable conditions for rot, and, believe me, it provides hiding places for rodents, which you definitely don't want. Let's talk about row covers and frost blankets. These are great for offering protection to larger garden areas where, individual cloches just aren't practical. Understanding how to use them effectively can really extend your growing season by weeks on both ends of winter. Lightweight frost blankets made from spun-bonded polypropylene fabric can provide protection down to around 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, heavier grade fabrics can protect your plants even down to the low 20s. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Drape these covers loosely over plants or support them on hoops or stakes to prevent fabric from touching foliage directly, as contact points can still freeze and damage leaves. The beauty of row covers is their breathability, allowing moisture and some light penetration while trapping warmth, meaning you can leave them in place for extended periods without removing them for watering or ventilation. On particularly cold nights, you can even layer multiple covers for additional protection, with each layer adding several degrees of frost protection. Tender, loving care. Specific plant protection. Potted plants present unique winter challenges because their roots are far more exposed to temperature extremes than plants growing in the ground, where soil mass provides natural insulation. The first and most obvious solution for truly tender plants is bringing them indoors, but this creates adjustment challenges as plants must adapt to lower light levels and drier indoor air. A better approach for many containerized perennials is grouping pots together in a protected location, like against a south-facing wall or inside an unheated garage. Then, surround and cover the grouped pots with leaf straw, or even bubble wrap. This collective arrangement allows plants to share warmth and provides substantial insulation that individual scattered pots never achieve. For large containers that cannot be moved, wrap the outside of pots with burlap or bubble wrap to insulate roots. It's also a good idea to elevate containers on pot feet or bricks to ensure drainage and prevent pots from freezing to the ground. Young trees and shrubs with thin bark are surprisingly vulnerable to a phenomenon called sunscald. This occurs when bright winter sun heats the bark during the day, and then nighttime temperatures plummet, causing the bark to split and crack. This damage creates entry points for disease and insects, while disrupting the tree's vascular system, potentially killing young specimens. Protect vulnerable trunks by wrapping them loosely with burlap commercial tree wrap, or even white plastic tree guards that reflect sunlight and, moderate temperature swings. Start wrapping at the base and spiral upward to just below the lowest branches, overlapping slightly as you go, and remove the wrapping in early spring before hot weather arrives. This simple practice can mean the difference between a thriving young tree and one that struggles for years, trying to recover from preventable winter injury. Borderline hardy perennials, those plants rated for one zone warmer than your actual location, often survive winter with strategic root zone insulation that keeps soil temperatures just a few degrees warmer than surrounding areas. After the ground begins freezing, create an insulating mound over the plant's crown using a combination of soil, compost, and mulch, basically burying the plant under a protective hill 6 to 8 inches high. This extra soil mass provides tremendous insulation for dormant crowns and root systems, often making the difference between survival and loss. Mark the location clearly so you don't accidentally dig into protected plants during winter cleanup, and gradually remove the protective mound in early spring as temperatures moderate, allowing plants to emerge naturally without being smothered. One of the most counterintuitive aspects of winter plant care is that, honestly, dehydration, not freezing, kills many plants during the cold months. This is especially true for evergreens, which continue transpiring moisture through their foliage all winter long. On those warmer winter days, when temperatures rise above freezing and the ground isn't, frozen solid, go ahead and water your garden deeply. Focus especially on evergreen shrubs, conifers, and any plants in protected locations that don't receive natural precipitation. Early afternoon is really the ideal time for winter watering, since it gives the water time to soak in before nighttime temperatures drop. This supplemental moisture helps maintain plant hydration and, honestly, provides that crucial cellular water that helps insulate against cold damage. Learning to distinguish between normal winter dormancy and actual frost damage can prevent unnecessary panic and, at the same time, help you identify plants that need a bit more protection. Dormant deciduous plants naturally drop their leaves and might look dead, but that's perfectly normal. Evergreens, on the other hand, may show some bronzing or purpling of foliage in cold weather, and that usually reverses when temperatures warm up. True frost damage, shows up as blackened, mushy tissue on leaves and stems, or sometimes as bark splitting and cracking on woody plants. It's important to check protected plants periodically throughout winter looking for these damage signs, and also keeping an eye out for problems like snow load breaking branches or protective coverings blowing away in the wind. Early detection of issues, honestly, lets you take corrective action before minor problems turn into major losses. Good drainage becomes absolutely critical in winter because cold, waterlogged soil suffocates roots and creates conditions for rot that, warm, moist soil just doesn't produce. If you notice standing water in your beds after winter rains or snowmelt, it's time to take action to improve drainage, maybe by adding organic matter, creating raised beds, or installing simple drainage channels to direct excess water away from plant root zones. Plants that might survive cold temperatures in well-drained soil often end up succumbing to the combination of cold and wet. So, addressing drainage issues is really a critical component of winter protection, and honestly, it's often overlooked in favor of more obvious strategies like covering or mulching. As spring approaches and, temperatures start to moderate, resist the temptation to strip away all winter protection the moment you see the first warm day. Plants that have been insulated all winter need gradual exposure, just to prevent shocking them with sudden temperature and light changes, which, believe it or not, can cause just as much damage as winter cold. Alright, so you'll want to begin removing protection incrementally, starting with the heaviest layers on those milder days, and, gradually working down to just a minimal covering. Then, finally, you can remove everything once nighttime temperatures consistently stay above freezing. This kind of gradual exposure really hardens off your protected plants and lets them adjust their physiology to the changing conditions. Winter often leaves behind damaged branches and frost-killed stems that need removal to allow healthy spring growth to emerge unimpeded. It's best to wait until the danger of a hard frost has passed and you can clearly see which stems are truly dead versus just dormant. Then, go ahead and prune away the damaged wood, making sure to cut back to healthy tissue. This early spring pruning actually stimulates vigorous new growth and helps prevent disease organisms from colonizing dead tissue and spreading into healthy parts of your plants. The reward for diligent winter protection becomes gloriously apparent in spring, when your garden just wakes up with real vigor, producing earlier blooms, stronger growth, and healthier plants that can outperform neglected gardens by weeks or even months. Subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more seasonal gardening strategies, plant protection techniques, and practical wisdom for keeping your garden thriving through every season. And hey, share this guide with fellow gardeners who want to transform their winter plant care and wake up to flourishing gardens even after the harshest weather. Together, we're building knowledge and resilience that keeps our gardens beautiful year-round.